Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Live from the house here, man. Okay, I'm gonna try to do a final gear review. Show you what I had when I started and what lasted. Okay, so as far as shoes, let me start with shoes. I ended up with these right here, my Solomons. My Solomons, they lasted pretty good. I got these at right before I went into the whites. I got these in Glencliff, New Hampshire. As you can see, still got good tread on it. The tread right here is wearing off, but that's just the way I walk. I went through 5 pairs of shoes on the trail. I started off with the Merrells, black Merrells. If you watch my final gear, my final gear list before I started, you'll see those. I started off with the black Merrells. They lasted me about 300 miles. I went to trail days. I got rid of them. Got me a new pair of Merrells from the outdoor store there. I think Adventure Damascus is the name of that store. They lasted about 2 weeks before I got a bunch of holes in the front of them, right around like this area here. Start just ripping big holes in them. So I contacted Merrell, showed them pictures and stuff. They got me another pair out, which made it to, let me see, what was the name of that hostel? It was about Dragon's Tooth. 4 Pines Hostel. That's where I got those delivered to. They were ugly. I call those the air diabetes. If y'all watch my videos, they were ugly, but they lasted about 200 or 300, about 300 miles, a little bit over there. By the time I got rid of them, there were huge holes in them in the front. Basically, I was wearing sandals. Got rid of those. Got me a pair of La Sportivas right around Pine Grove, Pennsylvania, which is about right around about 1,200 miles in. And the La Sportivas lasted a while, to about 500 miles. And I like those shoes. They were kind of narrow and kind of tight. Gave me a good, nice callus on the back of my heel, on my left heel. But other than that, they were pretty good. And I got these pair right before I went into the whites, as I said. And they lasted me for the rest of my hike. As far as socks, I started out with the Farm to Feet socks and a couple pair of liner socks. I also had some compression socks. And the first few weeks, when I got to camp, I would put on the compression socks to kind of keep that blood flowing. I had a muscle recovery stick that I had got on the recommendation of Early Riser. And I used that for maybe the first few weeks too, as well. But after a while, I just stopped using the compression socks and the muscle recovery stick. So I sent both of those home, free up some weight. Also had to go through a few more pair of socks for on the feet, and my liner socks got holes in them once I was wearing those sandals of a shoe. So I got rid of those socks and got me some more socks. Didn't pick up any more liner socks. I thought that I needed those to help with blisters, but I didn't get any blisters with or without the socks. So I guess that's just a preference as far as that. Let me see. I started off with this sleeping bag here. I said in the first gear video there was a 20-degree North Face. It's actually a 30-degree North Face inside of here, inside of this REI stuff sack, but lasted me pretty good. It was some cold nights through the Smokies and some colder nights when we got up north and maybe towards Vermont. A couple cold nights in Maine, but other than that, that held up perfect. I had another pair of gloves when I started, some with some Carolina Panthers things on them. I wouldn't recommend these gloves, the North Face, because your fingers just They don't do what they're supposed to do. They don't keep your hands warm. I would find myself kind of putting my hand in it and making a fist, and kind of like, my hands would stay warmer like that. So I would suggest maybe getting a mitten. That way your fingers can keep in contact, and your hands tend to stay warmer that way. You lose dexterity, but hey, because these advertise that you could use your phone with them. You can use the smartphone and get a grip on them, but that was not the case. I found out. So I wouldn't definitely not recommend these North Face gloves. North Face do better. That's what I will tell you. I switched out from my Frog Tog rain jacket to this Patagonia rain jacket. Patagonia worked very good. It was windproof, I think up to 50-mile-an-hour winds. And I experienced some of those going over the Bigelows and worked pretty good. The Frog Togs I wouldn't recommend because you sweat inside of it. It holds in that heat. You sweat. It's condensation. So basically, what's going on the outside, yeah, it might block the rain, but hey, you feel like you're raining on the inside. You're just sweaty and wet. So I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose of a rain jacket, in my opinion. Shout out to Frog Toss, but also do better. If you're putting out these products that you say are waterproof or water resistant, then that's where they should be. But yeah, that was, I guess, my fault for going out cheap way. Patagonia, I got a great deal on it at Sierra Trading Post, so it worked out. Let me see, clothes. Parts clothes. I still have my same zip-off pants that I started with. They're over there in the corner, dirty. I still had this same long sleeve, what's this, Columbia shirt that I started off with, moisture wicking. I switched out a couple moisture wicking t-shirts, so I got a couple different ones in here. I found a Nike moisture wicking outfit as far as shorts, shirt, and I found some drawers too, so no shame in my game. I took the drawers too, for sure. But I dropped those shorts off at Hanover, New Hampshire, because it was starting to get a little cold. I said, I ain't gonna need no shorts no more. Little did I know I would be going through 90-degree weather when I got to Maine and New Hampshire. So I should have kept those shorts maybe a little longer, but hey, it is what it is. These are my Pokemon Summit pants. I started hiking in those for a little while because they feel pretty good, pretty breathable and everything, you dig. Still had my Nemo tent, my 2-person tent. It worked pretty good. It's a flaw with that tent. The back doesn't come down enough. So what you get is water on the back up by the head. So I mean that they need to fix that. I don't know why they designed it that way, but other than that, it was an okay tent. As you know from the people that watch my videos, been following all the way through, me and Nemo had a big problem because I reached out to them about water issues with my tent at trail days, and the customer service guys there, the reps or whatever, didn't offer me any help whatsoever. Basically told me, go on to the ladies that fix it over there and go talk to them. Don't talk to us. We don't do no repairs here. So I didn't appreciate that. Shout out to the people that were supporting, that reached out to Nemo and shot them a few emails and everything. And once that happened, they got back to me pretty quick. And then they sent me out a replacement tent, which also had a couple holes in it, but it was better than the one I had, in my opinion. So I was like, you know what? Sometimes you just got to cut your losses and just like, all right, man, whatever. So and to keep me from battling with them and being stuck in a town waiting on a whole new tent and all this kind of stuff, I just kind of kept it and took it and kept moving. But and then I also received an email back from them like, oh, you should try to pack up your tent when it's fully dry. And I'm like, yeah, how can you do that on the Appalachian Trail when it's raining 60-70% of the time at that point when I was coming through? There's no way you can pack up a dry tent when everything around you is wet. So I didn't really appreciate that explanation. So I'm not sure whether I would do business with Nemo again. Kind of just had a little bad taste in my mouth. But they did send out the new tent. But it was also flaws in the new tent that they sent out. So I don't know. It's just one of them things. I don't think I would do business with them guys again. But I'm not saying they're a bad company. They might be a good company to, a lot of people, but to me, I wasn't super satisfied after I spent $300-something on a tent. You would expect it to last you all the way through and be good with no problems, I would think. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, but whatever. Let me see. This was my bag for my bait and stuff like that. So I got a little chatterbait here. Got a frog. Got me some hooks and some sinkers and stuff like that, which I didn't really use too much of this stuff. I usually just kept the rooster tail on. As you can see right here, rooster tail usually got this little flare out, but I used it so much it just started kind of wearing out on me. But I caught all my fish pretty much with that thing there, except for the ones in Pearisburg. I did catch with live bait with some worms, but other than that, I was snagging all them bass and brook trout and everything like that with that one rooster tail there. That's a killer. And the funny thing about it, I used to fish with this tiny rooster tail all the time, the little rainbow color, and I never caught a fish with it. But once I hit that trail, it was something about it. So yeah. And as you know, I started off my trip with an osprey pack. The osprey just got to the point where it was just too full, it was too bulky. The way it was sitting on my back, it was wearing these big just spots on my back, my lower back, to where it was rubbing and start turning leaving these black marks on my back, just like almost like a callus. So I reached out to the guys at Z-Packs at Trail Days. Shout out to Redbeard and those guys over there. And I got me a nice price on the Z-Pack. So shout out to them guys. The pack lasted me the whole trip. It started getting wear and tear on it because I'm kind of rough on stuff sometimes. So I think it was just wear and tear issues. The last like 3 days before I left, my hip belt broke. But other than that, pack lasted pretty good. It got wear and tear spots on it. As you can see, it got a hole right here, a hole right there. But as I say, that's probably my fault. My strap broke right here, so I had to kind of rig it. But I'm pretty sure if I get over at the guys at Z-Packs there, they'll give me a solution for that. I just didn't reach out because I was like, man, I don't want to have to wait on a new bag or wait on this, that, and the third. So I just kept it moving with it. Wasn't really stressing about it. But it did me great. It was with me for about 1,500 miles. I got it around mile 550 or something like that. So shout out to Z-Packs, man. They make a great pack, I think, in my opinion. I was satisfied with that. As you can see right here, I still got my Z-Lite, my Thermarest Z-Lite. So I didn't upgrade into an inflatable sleeping pad because I sleep so wild. I figured it wouldn't make me no difference. It wouldn't do me no good. If I had one, I would just roll off of it and be actually on the ground. So I just kept the same one I started with. It did me pretty good, cheap, and it lasted. So maybe for future trips, I may get me an inflatable sleeping pad, but we'll see. One night I went to sleep on that thing. I woke up, I was sideways, turned all the way sideways. I was all the way off the pad. So that that's just how I sleep, just wild. So I don't know if that would have made a big difference. Let me see what else. When I started off, I had a smaller pot. I found this pot in Delaware Water Gap, traded mine out with it. It's a little bit bigger so I can fit my canisters in there. Kept the same cup, collapsible cup that I started with. So what I would do is when I would boil my water to cook, I would just sit this over top. That way my water will boil faster. So yeah. Let me see, what else? When I first started, I had my GoPro. I sent that home. First chance I got, I sent that home, I think, in Hiawassee, like 50, 60 miles in, because it was just too bulky. And for me to have to put it on, strap it to my chest and all that, I just didn't have time to do that. After just trying to continue to hike all day and make miles, you just don't have time to set up your GoPro and all this, and film with the camera on my phone. It was just too much, so I just sent it home. I started off with a big first aid kit. Sent that home. No, matter of fact, I left that in a hotel room in Gatlinburg. That was right about halfway through the Smokies when we got snowed up out of off the trail and had to run down to Gatlinburg. I just left the first aid kit because I hadn't used anything out of it in a couple hundred miles. So I kept a couple Band-Aids out of it. Kept my toenail clippers. And I kept an ace bandage, and that was it. I left the rest of it. I started off with a few chargers. I had this charger to start with, this big black one, and I had this one that I had from my Puerto Rico trip. This lasted all the way through. This is the second one I had, the same charger. I had to get rid of the first one. It broke on me, and what happened was this button right here sticks. So it got stuck down in there, and I couldn't turn it on or off, and it broke on me. But I like the product. It's just that one little defect, it'll stick, so you kind of got to be careful. So I bought another one just like it, and it lasted me pretty good as far as charging. It was only one time I think I really ran out of battery on my phone on the whole trip. Other times it was okay. Hold on, let me click this back on my computer so I can see kind of what I was putting on my first gear video, using that as a reference. Let me see. I sent this home immediately. This is trash. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is trash. Shout out to Sawyer, but this is trash. That filter right there, what happens, it gets stuck. If you screw it on a water bottle or something like that, it gets stuck. The filter comes off. It's pretty much useless. I don't even know why I sent this home. I should have just threw it away. But yeah, so I sent that back home. I sent this back home. As far as water filtration, after a while, I just stopped filtering my water, to be honest with you. I didn't catch Giardia or anything like that, or whatever the other disease everybody was catching on trail. I didn't get sick. And most time when I got my water, I would try to do it above 3,000 feet and get it from a spring, a clear spring. I wouldn't recommend that to just everybody, but, do what you feel is safe. I did have Aqua Mirror just in case I didn't feel totally safe about getting water from the source. So I can filter it, that way, put a couple chemicals in it. But, some people don't do the chemicals. I also had the iodine tabs that I kept on reserve just for emergencies, but I rarely ever used those. So let me see what else I sent. I sent my GoPro home. I sent this back home pretty quick. Never used it, and I didn't feel like carrying it. I didn't want to get laughed out by the rest of the hikers, So sent that home. Let me see what else did I have. Oh, I had a couple books. I didn't take the books because, you find a lot of books on trail at the shelters and stuff like that. But the point is, by the time you've been on a hike 10, 12 hours a day, you ain't got time to read no book. You tired. You just want to cook and get in your sleeping bag and call it a night. So that's what it was for most nights. I did read a couple books on trail, but they were just kind of here and there. And I carried a couple books here and there. I got a book. Charlemagne the God has a book called Black Privilege. Opportunity comes to those who create it. I did carry that for about 500 miles till I got to Chestnut Knob Shelter, and I left it in the shelter so somebody else could maybe enjoy it. But that's the only book I carried for a long time. Let me see, what else do I got on this? Oh, I started off with a Cedar Summit plastic spork spoon combo. But I got this around 300 or 400 miles in because that spoon that I started with broke. I was fixing my dinner one night and boom, it broke. So I had to tape it up and continue to eat. Didn't really appreciate that Cedar Summit. So I don't like your spoons, but I appreciate some of your products. But this right here I picked up at Bob Peoples' place. So shout out to my man Bob Peoples down there. I think where is Bob Peoples? In Tennessee? Yeah, I think so. Tennessee, somewhere around there. I started off with a different food bag. I had a compression food bag when I started off, but it wasn't waterproof. So, I didn't know. I didn't know any better. So what I did was I traded that food bag. I found one on trail in the Smokies, actually, and I started putting my food in there. It was waterproof. Somebody had just left it at the shelter, I guess. So I started using that one, and I took the compression sack that I was using for my food, and I gave it to my homegirl Lakes. She needed a compression sack for a sleeping bag, so I gave her that. And I got this from my boy Hazmat. The Cedar Summit bag is dirty. Yeah, that's how I got it from. It's dirty as ever, but it worked pretty good. Worked pretty good through the rest of my trip. I got this from him around in Maryland, I think it was. So I was a while in, but shout out to Hazmat for that. This is all my leftover food. A little risotto. You cook that in the bag and let it sit for a while and you're good to go. Tortillas, which is a good thing to have out there on the trail. You can make, I was making my ramen, mixing it with cheese and summer sausage or tuna or whatever else, and making me some basically burritos out of that. There go my huge bag of sugar, my creamer, which everybody used to look at me crazy for carrying 2 or 3 pounds of sugar, but I'm like, hey, I like coffee, I like tea. As you can see, I got my chamomile down there, my Folger singles down there. I found this in Stratton Motel because it was hard to find plastic packets of tuna once I got further north in some places. So I just found a couple of these in the hiker box and carried them with me, which I hate to carry sometimes, but hey, it is what it is. Let me see, what else did I start with? I had can openers, I had flint, I had a syringe to backfill my Sawyer and all that. I sent all that stuff home. I never used it. So, yeah, that was what's going on. Sent my machete home pretty early. I thought I was going to be bushwhacking and all that kind of stuff. I didn't need a machete. Some spots when I got way up north, I probably could have used a machete. But yeah, I didn't really need it. As you can see, no more trekking poles. I got rid of my trekking poles coming through the last part of Maine just because I was hiking with Pat. Pat, 60-something years old. He don't hike with trekking poles. I wasn't about to let that old man outdo me. Nah, but shout out to Pat, because Pat is a tough old bird. As you know, if you watch my videos, he came all the way from Key West, so he's definitely a tough old bird. Shout out to my man Pat. I had bandanas when I started. Kind of lost those things. Picked up a buff that I carried the rest of the way through. The buff worked pretty good for me. I had a ski mask. Sent that home once it started getting a little bit warmer. I had an MP3 player. I left that in my jacket. And I gave my jacket to my man Soup. Soup was on trail, said he didn't have a jacket. And I didn't think I needed it anymore, so I gave him that. But I needed that jacket actually when we left trail days, and I got back to climbing over Rowan Mountain and over that area. As you can see from some of my videos, it was super cold and windy and foggy up there, and almost like it was gonna snow on me. And I was that's one of them days I was kind of scared. I was like, man, I think I need that jacket. I could probably die up here if I don't keep moving. So that was kind of a scary day. But I made it through, so we here. Still got my flops that I started with, my Nike flops, instead of the Crocs. I've seen a lot of people wearing Crocs, but flops did pretty well for me. So I ain't tripping on that. I think that's about it from what I started with to what I ended with. Got a new headlamp picked up along the way. I actually found I traded headlamps like 2 or 3 times along the way. Just to see what worked for me. But I didn't do much night hiking, as you guys know. That's just not my thing. My anxiety is just too bad for night hiking. Let me see what else. Oh, these are my bunch of ibuprofens. And just in case, I didn't really need them. I used to pop them every day for about the first 2 or 3 weeks, but then I just realized I didn't need them. So, let me see what else I got going on over here on the video and see what I made it through with. Oh, okay. I had these pocket maps, which I only, like you guys know, I only plan on going for a couple months to begin with. So I only bought the maps all the way up to, I think, Parisburg, Virginia. But after that, I had to get the Gut Hooks app because it was way more accurate. And it showed you all the stops that you needed to make. So I would suggest, if you're going to hike this trail, invest in the Gut Hooks. It is a great thing to have. I stand behind Gut Hooks. Let me see, what else? Food bag. After a while, man, people are always like, oh, you better hang your food up, bears and rodents and da-da-da-da. But after a while, I left my rope to hang my food, and I just use my food bag as a pillow, pretty much. Because, like I say in most of my videos, once I cook and I rub all the food stuff all over my body, what's the point of me hanging up my food? Because if the bear go get my food, and he's still hungry, he coming down there to get me because I smell just like probably what he just ate. So, it really don't make no difference. So, to each his own, but me and 99% of the other hikers that made it after 400 or 500 miles, is no hanging of the food. Yeah, you might hang it in the Shenandoah because the bears are way more, I guess, used to people and kind of aggressive. Not as far as like I'm trying to attack you aggressive, but I'm not scared of you aggressive, that kind of thing. So yeah, that about covers it, I think. I'm looking at this video here, and that about covers it. So yeah, this is what I ended with. Not much, man. I picked up that frying pan late in the game, but they helped me maintain some sense of home. I think, just to have something hot. I mean, noodles and everything is cool, but it's good to have some hot, charred up summer sausage something every once in a while. You know what I mean? And so that was a good thing. I think that covers it, guys. I think that about covers it. Oh, as you can see, my brown sweatpants, I sent them things home after a while. And yeah, that's about it. It's a few things I dropped off and picked up here and there. But my main thing is to tell you, man, hike your own hike. I've been having advice. I mean, people ask me for advice on gear and stuff like that, and it's hard to give you advice on gear because I don't know what you really like to do as far as maybe fishing or cooking. Or I've seen guys carry slingshots. I've seen guys carry metal containers to hold their water in that I probably wouldn't carry. But it's something that they didn't want to give up. So can't really kind of tell people what to carry, what not to carry. You're gonna have to have your basics. Your sleeping bag, your tent, or hammock, or whatever you're gonna sleep in. You have to have your cook system and stuff like that. And you got your miscellaneous stuff. But who's to tell you what to carry in your miscellaneous? Or who, So or your food, or if you want to carry cans of food. I wouldn't recommend that because it's gonna weigh you down. But hey, to each his own. Sometimes I packed out beer, which is not weight. I mean, the weight of it is not pretty much worth it. But sometimes you just want to have a beer when you've been hiking all day and get to camp, and just feel a little bit better about yourself. So I can't tell you what to take and what not to take, but I can show you what I took and what I made it through with and what I survived with. So it was totally different from what I started with. I think a lot of stuff I thought I needed, I didn't need, or I just never used. So it's just one of them things you're gonna have to kind of figure out on your own. But you'll get to knowing pretty quick what you need and what you don't need. It was always a rule for most of us hikers. If you don't use it for 3 days, you don't need it. And that's pretty much true. If you don't use it 3 or 4 days, you're not probably gonna need it. And also, somebody else probably got it. And I don't want to tell you to depend on other hikers or nothing like that, or other hiker boxes or nothing like that to make your way through the trail. You should have everything that you need, but for the most part, if you're not using it for 3 days, you're probably not gonna need it. Things like earplugs and stuff like that. I mean, it's just not gonna use them. I don't know. So much love and light to all, man. I wanted to try to get this gear review in for you guys, so hopefully I answered all the questions as far as what did I last with and what did I get rid of. A lot of stuff you get rid of because you just simply don't need it, or you don't have the time and energy to utilize those things when you get to camp. So yeah, man, hope this answers you guys' questions. Love and light. But it's one thing I'm gonna tell you that I would never have sacrificed this whole trip, and that is that thing right here on the side, that fishing pole that got me through a lot of days, that helped me have a lot of good memories of this trail. Let me stop and enjoy a lot of this trail. I know a lot of people told me never take the fishing pole, but I'm gonna tell you right now, don't let people tell you what and what not to take. If you want to kill squirrels out there, take your slingshot. You dig what I'm saying? But I wouldn't eat them in the summer. You might get worms. But if you want to take it and you set on taking something, don't let nobody talk you out of it. Take it. See if it work out for you. You may have to send it home. You may have to leave it in a hiker box for somebody else. And you go from there. But as always, man, love and light from your boy. This is all I got left. And I'm about to go through this food, put some of it down in the kitchen, and that'll be that. I'm gonna try to get the rest of these videos uploaded. As far as the last of my trip, this one is long, 27 something minutes, man. I'm sorry it's so long, and I'm sorry it's so bland, but this is one of them things that you got to do. Post-hike gear review. So shout out to the listener, shout out to the watcher, shout out to the support, man. My support system is crazy. So shout out to you guys, man. Much love. It's the Black Appalachian. Peace.